rally round the flag, boys, we'll rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom, and we'll rally from the hillside, we'll gather from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
And George W. Bush took our ascent and reconfigured it and honed it and sharpened it to razor-sharp points and stabbed this nation in the back with it. In that moment, Mr. Bush, you ceased to be the President of the United States. In that moment, Mr. Bush, you became merely the president of a rabid and irresponsible corner of the Republican Party. I accuse you of causing in Iraq the needless deaths of 3,586 of our brothers and sons and sisters and daughters and friends and neighbors. Your precise and intricate lies that sent us into this bottomless pit of Iraq. Your lies upon the lies to discredit Joe Wilson. Your lies upon the lies upon the lies to throw the sand at the referee, a Prosecutor Fitzgerald's analogy. These are complex and often painful to follow. And it stinks. And they know it. Pressure, negotiate, impeach. Get you, Mr. Bush, and Mr. Cheney, two men who are now perilous to our democracy, away from its helm. And for you, Mr. Bush, and for Mr. Cheney, there is a lesser task. You need merely to achieve a very low threshold indeed. Display just that iota of patriotism which Richard Nixon showed on August 9th, 1974. Resign.
The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah.
You're a fascist. Get them to print you a T-shirt with fascist on it. What else is this but fascism? You, by your own terms and your own definitions, you have just sided with the terrorists. You said that the lives of countless Americans depend on you getting your way. This is crap. And you sling it with an audacity and a speed unrivaled even by the greatest political felons of our history. You are a liar, Mr. Bush. And after showing some skill at it initially, you have ceased to even be a very good liar. And your minions, like John Boehner, your Republican congressional crash dummies, who just happen to decide to walk out of Congress when a podium full of microphones await them, they should just keep walking out of Congress and, if possible, out of the country. For they, sir, and you, sir, have no place in a government of the people, by the people, for the people. The lot of you are the symbolic descendants of the despotic middle managers of some banana republic, to whom freedom is an ironic brand name, a word you reach for when you want to get away with its opposite. I'm not talking about ethics here. I'm talking about blame. If the president seems to be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, it means we can safely conclude there is no baby. You would not merely be guilty of stupidity. You would not merely be guilty of treason, sir. You would be personally and eternally responsible. And if there is one thing we know about you, Mr. Bush, one thing you have proved time and time again, it is that you are never responsible. And we will not fear George W. Bush, nor will we fear because George W. Bush wants us to fear.
Down with the traitor and up with the star, while we rally round the flag, boys, we rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
You're a fascist.
You know, I don't know. You're going to ask the experts that.
This, Mr. Bush, is simple enough even for you to understand.
Just a simple president, but I really don't know what it would do. I do know that the main problem is supply and demand, and excess supply obviously would help.
Oh, we're springing to the call for 300,000 more, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
I've got an eclectic reading list.
And now Camus.
Well, that was a couple of books ago. Let me look. The key for me is to keep expectations low.
Is that what everyone doesn't get?
I don't know, Brian, what they get or don't get. You know, my life. Here's the thing. I don't. Look, here's the thing. The great thing about the presidency is you're totally exposed, and people spend a lot of time, particularly if you're making decisions, and hard decisions, people spend a lot of time not only analyzing decisions, they analyze the decision maker, and I understand that. But a president must never let him get off, let that get him off track.
Even if you're frustrated that we're getting something wrong.
You have to do what you think is, if we're getting something wrong, we change it.
How have you been read wrong?
Oh, I don't know about that wrong. I mean, I frankly don't pay that much attention to it. I don't want to hurt people's feelings about it. You know,
Still not watching television, huh?
Oh, I watched a good baseball game.
Fill the vacant ranks of our brothers gone before, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor and up with the star, while we rally round the flag, boys.
People criticize me. I think I'm the second most criticized person in the country. You're first. By a large margin, but I'm second.
Yeah.
I get really furious, especially if it's dishonest.
Yeah.
But you're different than I am. You're more philosophical. See, I mean, I'm sitting there going, hold on, if I had this guy's neck, you know.
Well, I'm not as big as you are, so I can't, you know. I wouldn't be able to get away with that. Look, I understand politics. Remember, I'm a man who watched a guy I love dearly go through the same thing I'm going through, and that's my dad. And it's much harder when you see somebody you love being criticized than when you yourself are criticized. I did get angry about it, and you know.
When it's you don't get that angry?
No, not really. Not really.
Really? You don't take it personally?
No, I don't.
Because they are trying to destroy you. You know that.
Well, it's too bad, and I think most Americans don't want to see the president destroyed. I think most Americans want this country to come together and work for the common good. I suspect a lot of Americans are sick and tired of Washington politics.
Oh, you bet.
And my job is to, again, talk as clearly and plainly as I can to the American people about the stakes in the Middle East, and the stakes in the Far East, and the stakes in this economy, and the stakes in making sure our children get an education, and try to diffuse the politics as best as I can. The problem is that we're now heading into a political season.
You bet.
And you know, it's just listen, I hear the criticism, but I believe it's just like these polls you asked me about. If you do not believe in what you stand for, in other words, if you're somebody who doesn't stand on principle, then all that matters. If you believe in what you're doing and believe in the principles by which you're making decisions, such as freedom is universal. That's a principle. Some say that was maybe not the case, but I believe that.
Yeah, you sink or swim on your principle.
That's it.
And although he may be poor, he shall never be a slave, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor and up with the star, while we rally round the flag, boys, we rally once again.
In case you don't know it, Mo's blog is titled Mo Rocka 180, only half as tedious as the regular news. Among his other credits, Mo used to host a TV show called Things I Hate About You. I'm sure I've seen that program, only I believe it's now called Countdown with Keith Olbermann.
Soon I'll touch the brown, brown grass of home. Yes, you're all gonna miss me the way you used to quiz me. Well, soon I'll touch the brown, brown grass of home.
The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor and up with the star, while we rally round the flag, boys, we rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.